Hey guys, it's DJ Jack here once again with you with another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the song that changed Billy Idol's life and made him who he is today as a rock and roll star and changed his life forever. And that song particularly was That's Alright by Elvis Presley, his very early songs from that was a 1954 single, but the album didn't come out till about, I think it was 1959 is when that album actually came out. But yeah, that song was one of Elvis's very first original songs he ever recorded, and it's the song that made Billy Idol that basically changed his life forever. Well, apparently Billy Idol at the very beginning wasn't a huge fan of Elvis Presley, but his sister was a huge fan, and his sister was the one that got him into loving Elvis Presley. And first time he heard That's Alright by Elvis Presley, he was so amazed at how well, because he didn't know a lot of Billy Idol songs when he was about a teenager or something, you know? And he was born in 1955, that song came out in 1954, and he was saying on an interview recently on the Odyssey, someone on the Rock and Roll Show or something, he's saying that he never really heard a lot of Elvis stuff and wasn't always a fan of Elvis, but his sister was a big fan, and they attended a concert in the 1970s, and that's when he found out who Elvis really was and knew exactly who Elvis, and couldn't believe the great music and all the stuff he had and everything. It's a really interesting story, and it's basically the song That's Alright is what made Billy Idol become a superstar. He wasn't a fan of Elvis's movies, but his sister loved Elvis's movies. His sister is the one to thank for making him be an Elvis fan and made him change his mind about Elvis Presley. So this is a really interesting story. If you haven't looked it up, you should. It's really good. I mean, I was listening to it on the Odyssey station, Billy Idol's interview. It was really, really cool about what song changed his life forever. And it's really interesting how an Elvis Presley song could do that, the king of rock and roll, which is really, really, really good. And I think it's great. I really do. Well, besides that, this is my song telling you the story of Billy Idol's song that changed his life forever and made him who he is today as a rock and roll star. And one of the greatest rock and roll stars of all time. I love Billy Idol. I'm sad I didn't get to see him with Journey. I mean, Toto and him was great. Toto and Journey was great back in February. I was bummed when Billy Idol had that kidney stone and he had to cancel touring with Journey because Journey was supposed to tour with him for the beginning of half of the show, and then Toto was supposed to come towards the very end of the tour. But that didn't case, and Toto had to stay with them for the whole tour. But Toto didn't get to stay with them for the whole tour because eventually the Journey people, one of the Journey members got COVID and earlier in the tour, or like June and stuff, and Toto had to stop touring with them. But thank Lord, they're going to be touring together again next year, and hopefully they can get for the whole entire tour next year, because it goes from like mid-February, early February to like April something. So really, really good. And hopefully after that, I mean, next year is Journey's 50th, so it should be very interesting. Besides that, this is the rock and roll music talk all the time, and we talk real music on this channel all the time. I'm DJ Jack, and I'll talk to you guys later. Hit the subscribe button if you love this content. Laters.